Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the Raw report for the 31st of August 2020. Overall, a better show than normal out of Raw this week. Some predictable stuff, but also a lot of stuff that you wouldn't see from the show. If I didn't know better, I actually would believe that there's a possibility that someone else is booking the show. Because there was enough different stuff that made me go, maybe something's different happening here. But we opened the show with the Bullet Bob Armstrong graphic, remembering his life. He passed a few days ago. Randy Orton comes out to start the show. The announcers talk about how Drew McIntyre, your champion, has a hairline jaw fracture, and he will be ready to defend the championship at Clash of the Champions at the end of September. They run down a series of qualifying matches. Rey Mysterio tore his triceps and is unable to compete, so Dominic takes his place against Seth Rollins. And then Orton goes through running down McIntyre, says he deserves to live in pain and eat from a straw. Orton talks about what he's done to legends. He says he shouldn't have to face Kevin Owens as a way to get his title shot. Orton is willing to go through the hurdles, though, just to beat McIntyre and be champion again. Said that he believes that McIntyre's hanging out with some legends. And then Keith Lee interrupts. He says he's doing everything he can to forget about what happened last night. And last night, he meaning Lee, defeated Orton, and Orton was made to bask in his glory. And he says that alone should make him next in line for the title. Lee begins talking about how he considered McIntyre a good friend, but Dolph Ziggler, who is his opponent for the qualifier, attacks him from behind, gives him a DDT, and they go to break. Just under 11 minutes, Keith Lee defeats Dolph Ziggler to advance into the three-way for the main event of the evening, where the winner goes on to face Drew McIntyre at the pay-per-view. Ziggler uses a lot of basics, chin locks and the like. Lee gets to his feet and a dropkick by Ziggler. Lee sends Ziggler flying out of the ring. Ultimately, he sends him out with a pounce. They go to commercial. They come back. Lee's in control. When they come back, Ziggler uses a Fameasser for near fall, and Ziggler follows with a neckbreaker, elbow drop for near fall. Lee fights out and hits a power slam. He didn't go for the cover. Ziggler manages to hit a zigzag for his own near fall. Perhaps that's just a rookie thing for him. Lee blocks a super kick and hits a spirit bomb for the pinfall. Lee advances to the triple threat number one contender match later in the night. Good use of Lee here, especially since this is, I'm pretty sure, the first time that most of the Raw audience has seen him since the Survivor Series, a year ago, if not longer. Anyway, Asuka danced into the frame. She's asked if she's found her next partner, or her next opponent, rather. Basically, she says that Baszler and Nia Jax aren't happy with her stealing their interview time. Asuka shoves Baszler out of the way and yells at Nia Jax before leaving. Adam Pearce is yelling at security, saying that they need to do their job. Asuka comes to the ring for an in-ring interview. Charlie Caruso asks Asuka who deserved the title shot, and Asuka basically says that she's defeated Becky Lynch, Bayley, Ruby Riott, Nia Jax, and Sasha Banks. Mickie James makes her way out, so she hasn't beaten her yet. She does call Asuka one of the greatest women's champions of all time. She says she's coming for the 7th version of the title, or win of the title. Natalya and Lana in gear. Lana's in gear. Is out, and she said that James has failed to adapt, where she's a trendsetter. James thought this was funny. James got in Lana's face. Asuka interrupted to say that she was ready for all of them. James got in Asuka's face before she was attacked by Natalya and Lana. James and Asuka fought to the back and sent them to the ring. There's a Connor Secure video. Cedric Alexander with the Viking Raiders setting up a match for later. The Bachelorette girl enters the frame. She wishes them luck. She's impressed with Alexander. Turned down Hurt Business. She gave Ivar a kiss on the cheek. Ivar's happy. Angel Garza shows up with a rose after everyone left, and he smirks at the camera. Mickie James defeats Lana with Natalya in just under 2 3/4 minutes. James wins with a mitt kick on her birthday. Asuka's on commentary, and she says she's ready for that challenge. Caruso's outside Aleister Black's locker room, wanted to get comment about the attack on Owens last week. Orton emerged from the room instead. He says nothing. This confuses Charlie Caruso and the viewers at home. They announced the Riot Squad would face the Iconics tonight. The winning team would get a title shot. The losing team would split up. They did not explain why this exists. There's an interview of the Iconics. Billie Kay talked about the history, their dream of becoming champions and wrestlers at all. Peyton Royce said they sacrificed a lot to get here and they're not going to be stopped now. And Royce said that the Riot Squad were destined to break up, and the win would just help things along. Aleister Black attacks Owens during the entrance. Black tosses him into the side of the ring, gives him Black Mass before pushing him into the ring. And I gotta get my phone. And so Owens had no interest in being taken out of the match, even though he was injured. The match itself goes a matter of seconds, 10, 15 seconds. Orton manages to get an RKO for the pinfall win, advances to the triple threat match. Caruso with the Mysterio family backstage. Angie and Ray's daughter Aaliyah were there. Ray said it'd be in the world for him if Dominic could earn the title shot tonight. Dominic knew he, was an underdog, but he basically said that he has the 619 with the Monday Night Messiah written all over it. Not your typical way of speaking. Anyway, Apollo Crews and Shelton Benjamin fight in the Raw Underground tonight. And by MVP with the MVP Lounge. MVP and Benjamin in the ring. MVP introduces Lashley, and he's the new U.S. champion. He noted that Crews tried to get some payback post-match. He moves on to the match tonight with Alexander and interrupted Lashley and Benjamin. And MVP stopped them from going after Alexander. MVP noted that Alexander came out alone and wanted to know if he had a change of heart. He said that he had not. Obviously, there's a turn coming here with Cedric Alexander. When it happens, who knows? Just under 6.5 minutes for the 6-man tag. Cedric Alexander, Viking Raiders defeat Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin. Not a bad match. They work over Alexander for quite a bit. He got close to tag. Lashley and Benjamin attacked the Viking Raiders. MVP tried to use distraction, but Alexander used a schoolboy for the win. MVP smiled upon the loss. MVP holds them back from attacking him post-match. Hurt Business is beating up on Alexander in the back after the break. Cruz and Ricochet, both wearing the Connor's Cure merchandise, run out and try to save their fallen friend. Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan defeat the Iconics in 3.5 minutes. Riott runs wild on Kay. Morgan makes the save. Ruby and Kay do cradle attempts until Ruby gets a final cradle for the pinfall win. Ruby and Morgan earn a tag title shot. Wow, how far the tags have fallen now that Sasha and Bayley are not champions. Anyway, Seth Rollins promo. Rollins is angry at Murphy for kicking him in the head and getting pinned by Dominic. Rollins couldn't afford any mistakes tonight, so he demanded Murphy go to the back. He didn't want to see Murphy until he figured out what side of history he wanted to be on. Murphy tried defending himself. Rollins wouldn't have any of it. Murphy took over and took one look at Rollins from the stage when he was attacked from behind by Dominic Mysterio. Rollins seemed impressed. Dominic sprinted to the ring. They go 10 minutes, and Dominic uses a dive off the announce table early in the match, which is a great lead-in for a commercial, I suppose. Rollins is in control post-break, hits a sling blade for the 2. Dominic fights back and countered a buckle bomb by sending Rollins into the buckle with a leg scissors takedown. Dominic follows that with a tilt-a-whirl DDT and a standing moonsault for a near fall. Announcers were big into every Mysterio near fall, and that only increased as we get further into the match. Dominic follows with a dive off the top rope to the outside. Mysterio family shown watching in the back. Dominic hits a 619, but Rollins is out of the way of the frog splash, hits a curve stomp for the pinfall win, and advances to the triple threat. Mysterio family still watching, and Rollins gives Dominic another stomp. Ray runs out, and we then go to the Raw Underground thing. Titus O'Neil beats up 2 guys. Riddick Moss, easy for me to say, challenges him next. He gets distracted from outside the ring. Moss kicks him in the groin and knocks him out with a punch for the win. Street Profits cut a promo on Andrade, Garza, and Zelina. Dawkins had a scouting report on each person written on a whiteboard. This was just stupid. Dawkins accuses Garza of padding his stats by handing out roses to everyone. Vega is always mad because she's so short, they say. Akira Tozawa tried driving into the arena but was stopped by a guy in a at the parking gate because he wasn't on the list. Tozawa gets out of the car, grabs the list, only to realize the list was blank. He removes the guy's coat to reveal it was a referee. R-Truth throws him up and wins the 24/7 championship. Non-title tornado tag match. Street Profits, Andrade and Angel Garza with Zelina Vega and Danny Barnett. They run about almost 9 minutes. Red cuffs falling from the ceiling. This is just dumb. It doesn't work when you don't have actual people. They do a stack-up power bomb spot less than a minute and a half into the match. They go to break after this. Heels in control post the break. Phillips said it's been a brutal match. And Dawkins makes a comeback, giving Andrade a suplex before hitting Garza with a spinning back elbow. Dawkins gives us Andrade a bulldog. Garza breaks up the cover. Heels take over. Ford breaks up the cover, and Ford gives Andrade an enziguri and begins shaking the ropes until the lights begin to flicker. Garza bails and takes the girl with him. Ford goes for the cover. Referee bailed at some point as well. Retribution appeared, and the announcers run off, including Samoa Joe, we suppose. Retribution attacks Andrade, Ford, and Dawkins in the ring. And they cut to break, back from break, and this is there's an announcement we can stream on Peacock rather, which is another streaming service. I would assume there's a contract there because that's competition for the network. Kay and Royce are in the audience at Raw Underground. Shane tells them to have a good time. Jessamine Duke beat Avery Taylor quickly. Marina Shafir beat another girl just as quickly with a submission. Shafir and Duke start at the Iconics. Royce pushes Kay into the ring. Duke knocks her out with a kick. Royce didn't seem terribly upset by this. Cruz, Ricochet, and Alexander hype each other up and noted that it hasn't been a good 24 hours for them. Apollo says the old Apollo wouldn't have been happy just to have the U.S. title, but the new Apollo wasn't going to stop until he gets it back. Ricochet said MVP didn't know anything about friendship. We do an underground fight between Benjamin and Cruz, which does not have a clear finish. They fought into the crowd. This leads to a brawl between the Hurt Business and the Babyfaces. Lashley, MVP, and Benjamin choke out Ricochet, Alexander, and Cruz without a problem. And then elsewhere, the girls concerned with Garza abandoning his friends. He said they weren't trained. They were trained fighters, but he wouldn't forgive himself if something happened to her. They say Garza and Burnett. Garza sprints away, leaving her on her own, which is a counteraction of what he said just a second ago. And then we see the number one contenders match in just over 11 minutes. Randy Orton defeats Keith Lee and Seth Rollins to be the number one contender for McIntyre at Clash of the Champions. Rollins and Orton agree to team together, but Orton immediately backs out on the agreement. Orton says he changed his mind. And then we see Lee use a corner avalanche. Orton tries to attack from behind, but Lee gives him a couple of shots, and both guys get nailed with a slingshot crossbody as we go to break. Lee then tries another crossbody after the break. Rollins gives him a super kick and follows up with a flying knee off the apron. Orton drops Lee on the announce table. Rollins tosses him into the ring steps. Orton and Rollins are struggling to get Lee into the ring. Orton kicks Rollins and gives him a draping DDT. Falcon Arrow for a 2 count by Rollins in return. Lee knocked both guys down with body blocks and chucked Rollins into Orton. Lee launched Orton towards the barricade. Hits a pounce. Rollins tries to dive, but Lee caught him and tosses him into the announce table. Rollins reverses a power slam into a small package with a nice counter. Rollins follows this up with a thrust kick. Sets up for a curve stomp. Lee hits a spirit bomb, and it really did look like he was going to win here. He's kept to look strong. Orton slipped in, gives Lee an RKO. He crawls over and pins Seth for the win. It makes sense to protect Lee, but we now have Orton versus McIntyre, so even if Orton does defeat McIntyre, Lee can say, I beat you, so therefore that sets up that program. I really hope they go all the way with Keith Lee, but anyway, that's your Raw report for the 31st of August 2020. We'll be back with more right after this.